Alright guys, welcome to another quick video. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 most common mistakes people are going to make while leveling in Wrath of the Lich King. By the way guys, if you do subscribe to the channel, you gain access to a new guide that I have just made that has all of the best macros and weak auras for literally every single class in the game. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, go to my subscriber only trailer, and it is in the description of that video. First mistake, if you are going to do dungeon leveling, doing Northrend dungeons is actually a mistake. Now, hold your horses, hear me out with this one. So technically, grinding Orc Doom instances will yield more XP per hour, however there's a big technicality to that, and that is obviously having the 5% experience buff. If you are on a faction-dominated server where the opposite faction never has the towers, like for instance for me, Alliance on Pyrewood, then you're pretty much guaranteed to always have that 5% experience buff. But if you're on a server where, you know, the faction is a bit more balanced, then obviously you run a risk of losing the towers and then losing that experience buff, and therefore yes, the Northrend dungeons will be better for grinding. But like I said in my recent video, I still think that open world leveling is more value for your time. It was, by the way, extremely funny reading the comments on my most recent video. I definitely triggered some nosebleeders in that video. But like I actually did say towards the end of that video, this is not me changing my mind again. If you are playing on one of these mega PvP servers, then yeah, it's probably better to go dungeons to begin with, especially if you are playing on the launch days just to get ahead of everyone and then go into your open world later. But if you're playing on like a more average medium populated PvE server especially, then yeah, just do open world leveling. Now if you are soloing dungeons, you definitely want to go Mana Tombs. Tcan made a very good video recently showing the amount of XP per hour that you can get, and it's in the ballpark of 1.2 million, and that's for a Death Knight. Obviously other classes can do that too. If you've got a bigger group, I'd recommend going Shadow Labyrinth instead, but only do this when you do have the reset trick where you can get someone who's not in the dungeon to reset the dungeon every time. This will port you back to the graveyard, not to the start of the instance, but as we know, the graveyard is pretty close to the entrance of the dungeon anyway. I'd recommend grinding these dungeons obviously until the mobs turn grey and then run to Northrend. But obviously that reset trick, it is a little bit of a faff. You're going to need someone in the party who has a separate account to do the reset trick, or get someone who isn't leveling in your dungeon group to do it for you. If you can't be bothered with that, then yeah, just jump to Northrend, but don't jump to Northrend to grind dungeons without the Brewfest Buff, which is my second tip on this video, because obviously it's going to be a mistake to grind the first 2 hours of the Wrath of the Lich King launch without this buff. It's a 10% experience buff on mob kills. I mean, you may as well get it now. It pops at 17 minutes past 6 AM in the morning server time or 6 PM server time. Hearthstone to Stormwind and get ready to jump on the boat. Obviously make sure you are logged in on a different character and then relog just before Wrath of the Lich King launches on the hour so that you don't hit a server queue or something. But obviously this buff is definitely worth it. It's 10% extra experience on mob kills. And obviously if you are a mage or you have a mage friend, you're able to teleport to Ironforge, pick up the buff, Hearthstone back to Northrend and carry on leveling with that 10% XP buff. Third mistake is more for people open world leveling, not having a vendor value add-on. Obviously when you are picking quest rewards, sometimes you do pick the item piece because it is a genuine upgrade, but for the majority of people who have been playing TBC, you're not really going to get that many upgrades until you're in the much higher levels because you're decked out in Sunwell or Brutal PvP gear. So obviously it is best to pick the item with the most vendor value. The add-on that I use for this is Auctioneer. I will leave a link to that in the description, but honestly you can find many add-ons on Curse Client that do this. Fourth mistake is vendoring cloth and BOE. So first of all, let's deal with cloth. Now on the launch, cloth, like TBC launch, it is going to be absolutely dirt cheap, to the point where the vendor value will probably be roughly the same as the auction house value. Then it kind of seems, well, why would it be a mistake to vendor it? What you want to be doing is getting all of the Frostweave cloth and hoarding it on a bank alt and waiting for the value of that cloth to increase later in Wrath of the Lich King's lifetime, which will probably be around about phase 2. and then obviously be able to sell the cloth for an increased value on the auction house, or if you have an enchanter or tailor, you can make bags to make a little bit of extra gold, or craft it into disenchantable gear and then disenchant it for enchanting mats, which normally do end up selling for more, and therefore you get more value out of the cloth. And obviously the same goes for BOEs. Enchanting mats will always have a decent amount of value, so rather than just vendoring your BOEs, normally always better to send them to an alt and get them disenchanted by either one of your characters or a friend or someone in your guild. Now, for my final tip, when you do go and do a dungeon, it's obviously going to be better if you pick up the quests for that dungeon to get a little bit of extra cheeky XP. Now, I have done a full dungeon leveling guide levels 70 to 80, which also includes all of the quests, where to pick up those quests, so you can just check that video out while you are leveling. But if you are doing a dungeon that's not on that route, then just check out the guides on Wowhead. They have overviews for every single dungeon in the game, and it also does include, you know, the quest that you can do, where to pick them up, and how to actually complete them inside the instance. Now, we'll leave a link to that too in the description. But anyway, guys, good luck leveling in Wrath of the Lich King, and good luck on your realm first if you're going for that kind of thing. My name is MetaGoblin. To the next video, ciao.